Over to you.
Thank you, Dave. Also, just to remind you, we've got the chat function on Zoom. So if you've got any questions as we're going through this, you can pop them in there. Have we got question Q&A on Slido as well, Dave?
Yeah, there is Q&A on Slido. So as soon as you let me know when you want to do the first poll, then okay. I'll put the code up.
Excellent, that's good. So welcome, as Dave said, I'm Gary Metcalf, I'm the chair of CMI in Wales, the Chartered Management Institute. I'm going to cover a lot of the introductory stuff around CMI, what CMI is in Wales, what we do, how we work with the universities. And as Dave said, time permitting towards the end, I'm going to look at some of the leadership theory and some of the key areas that we look at for our future leaders going into business. So to start off, let me just introduce you to CMI, the Chartered Management Institute. It's a professional body that looks after leaders, managers across not just the UK, but wider. Used to be a European organisation, but we actually have members worldwide now, and we're affiliated with the Institute of Management and Leadership in Australia, New Zealand, and also the Chartered Manager Institute, sorry, the Canadian Management Institute in Canada. That's why it's called the Canadian Management Institute. Our vision for CMI is quite simple: better led and managed organisations, with a mission of increasing the number and standard of professionally qualified managers and leaders. So if you're on a business management degree, regardless of the pathways that you're on, be it finance, be it entrepreneurship, as long as you're doing that leadership, the business management degree, that's going to give you that qualification that we're looking for. And it's a professional qualification. So as well as actually getting your degree, you will also get a level 5 certificate in leadership and management. So you're going to be a step ahead of other candidates that apply for jobs that where the employer is looking for that business management degree. The purpose of CMI, as we've said, briefly touched on, one of the key things is about identifying accidental managers, those who've fallen into a management role, who don't have any qualifications, who don't have any experience, who have very little knowledge and experience in the role that they've fallen into. And that's one of the things we see a lot of in Wales, small businesses that have grown, one person organisations, those micro businesses, those entrepreneurs who started up a business whilst at university, who've then suddenly take on staff. Accidental management is dangerous to the business as well as to the economy, because we see a lot of organisations fail because it lacks leadership. And there's a statistic there: poor management leadership costs the UK £84 billion a year and results in 80% loss of productivity. That's not just any old statistic that I've made up. That's from specific research that CMI did a couple of years ago to look at the value of being qualified in a leadership role. So I'm talking about CMI. It's a membership organisation for leaders and managers who want to be part of a professional leadership body. It's also an awarding body for leadership and management qualifications from level 2 up to level 9. As I've said, you'll get your level 5 certificate on graduation. So as well as being an awarding body, it also runs apprenticeship programs with universities and colleges, works with employers direct. So why are we asking you about or telling you about CMI? Our first Slido question to you is how many of you are already members of CMI? So if I ask Dave to put the QR code up on the screen.
Yep, just give me 2 seconds now and I'll do that.
Do you need me to stop sharing?
It's okay, I can kick you out, don't worry. Okay, here it comes.
Do you want a drum roll?
There we go. So you can either scan that QR code on your phone, or if you go to slido.com and put that code in, 46548, you can then answer that question there, that poll. Also, what would be interesting as well is if you do have any specific questions that you don't want to put into the chat on Zoom, you can also use the Q&A function on here as well. So we've got 11 of you. I'm hoping we've got 9 of you actually. So I'm hoping that we should have 9 individual submissions there.
So we've got 5 so far. Ooh. Give the last 2 of you just a moment. So from that, we can see that 29% of you, so a third of you think you are members of CMI, nearly a third not sure, but 43% of you are telling me you're not members of CMI. The interesting, yeah, really interesting point is when you started your degree program last year, would it have been, Dave? Yes,
yeah,
it would,
last year.
You automatically became a member of CMI. CMI will have, what's Dave buying from eBay? Shall I go back to sharing my screen? That would be that's better. So we asked, are you a member or not? When you started your degree program last year, you became automatic members of CMI because the program that you're on is accredited by CMI, hence you get your level 5 certificate. So it's quite interesting to hear that some of you don't think you're members or aren't sure. When you became students at Swansea Uni, CMI will have sent you an email telling you you've got membership, but it will have been sent during that first 2 or 3 weeks that are a bit of a haze because it would have been around Freshers Week, it would have been around induction onto your courses, and 9 times out of 10 students do miss those emails, and CMI are now aware of that. If you log on to the CMI website, managers.org.uk, and try and log in as a member, if you use your student email address, that will be the email address that CMI will have registered you upon. If it doesn't work, if you then contact through the link that the website gives you, CMI will then, if your account's been locked for whatever reason, will then enable your account, and then you can go on, put in an email that you want to be contacted at, not necessarily your student email, because obviously when you leave university, CMI won't be able to contact you. There is a reason for that, because 3 months after you graduate, you still have membership of CMI. The benefits that I'll talk about as we go through this short presentation will make you realise it is worth actually keeping in contact with CMI because of the resources that are available to you there. CMI would tell you that 73% of students say that CMI resources have helped them to receive better results. It's a statistic. The work I've done with Dave and students in the previous years, not just at Swansea Uni, but across the whole of Wales, would actually agree with that statement. The resources that are available from CMI have helped. There's a lot of resources that you'll get through library services, but we've got access to some of the current insights, the current thinking, and there's a lot of currently online webinars that are being produced by CMI that students are referencing, and a lot of the speakers are quite experienced managers, leaders. Some are big leaders within the UK and further afield. 89% of graduates agree they're using the skills they've learned on the course in their current role. CMI Wales works with final year students. Currently, we have 4 final year projects that are being supported by CMI. Myself and the Director of Membership based in London, Matt Roberts, are supporting 4 groups of students through projects that are specifically looking at mentoring, CMI student benefits, student engagement, and something else which will come back to me, digital events and an online community. And some of the students that graduated from last year who were involved in those projects are actually coming back and speaking at events and talking about how CMI has helped them get into that new post that they've acquired during COVID, during a crisis where there aren't many jobs being advertised, but their interactions with CMI has actually helped, and we'll talk more about that as we go through, and again at the beginning of the next academic year. CMI is all about professional standard of leadership and management, and for those of you who don't know, Dave Bolton, who's not just the director or program director for the BSc program, he's also the deputy chair of CMI in Wales, and between us, together with the board, our mantra is all about raising the professional standard of leadership across Wales. Professional leadership links back to professional standards for management leadership. And there's actually a national occupational standard for leadership and management. And it's worth actually Googling, other search providers are available, but Google National Occupational Standard Leadership and Management, because that gives you the comprehensive list of units and subtext of what is needed to be that great leader. If you ever want to do a comprehensive skills audit, if you're a bit bored on Boxing Day, have a look at that, because it's the basis of everything that is covered in CMI's education packages. But what we're looking at doing is developing a set of standards around professional effectiveness, organizational performance, and interpersonal excellence. So it's not about just how good the organization is. It's not just about how good you are as an individual. It's also about how you interact with people. One of the key elements that we look at when we're assessing leaders and managers is stuff around emotional intelligence. So Daniel Goleman's work around emotional intelligence gives you that self-awareness that is needed to be a great leader. Again, it's worth looking at that. The standards are informed by insights and thought leadership, and a lot of the activities that CMI push out to members and to students is around insights and thought leadership, the current thinking around leadership and management. The third bullet point on that list is around the employer-led trailblazer apprenticeships. In England, more so than Wales at the moment, we've got degree apprenticeships where you can do your degree in business management whilst you're working for an employer and come out of it after 3 years as a chartered manager, because you've got 3 years experience. And I'll talk more about chartered manager, that ultimate accolade for any leader or manager working in business. We talk about best practice, so we actually look at what is good around the world. If you follow CMI Cymru on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, a lot of the content we share on there is curated by our comms and social media lead, who used to be a student at Swansea Uni. She joined the board just after she graduated this year, Lucy Tottel. And a lot of the content on there comes from other professional bodies, comes from CMI itself centrally, but also she's looking at leadership and management insights and thought leadership from around the world. So we look at what is happening in Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, the Far East, as well as Canada and the US, and the big consultancy companies like McKinsey and Harvard and PwC, also in the UK, to look at what they're talking about and what is important messages they're pushing out around management and leadership. It's important to make sure that when you're doing a degree in business management, you don't have tunnel vision, that you look wider, you listen to what the people have got to say. And if that means looking at content in other countries, then that is a positive step. The standards underpin the qualifications, underpins accreditation processes, and also when you graduate with your degree in business management and your level 5 certificate in leadership and management, you also become a foundation chartered manager. Gives you some letters after your name, but also demonstrates that you've got the knowledge and skills to be a professional leader. If you look at the center of the wheel on the right hand side there, we talk about values, ethics and culture. There is a code of conduct and professional practice that underpins everything that we expect from CMI members, and it's everything we expect from leaders and managers who see their role as being a professional post. This slide summarizes what is available to members. Online resources, Management Direct. I'll click on this to see if it works. I was having problems this morning actually getting the link, but it seems to be working. Management Direct, as it says here, includes access to leader videos, experts talking about overcoming real life management challenges. There's stuff that meets different learning styles. Actually, the best way of doing this, rather than me talking, I'll play this very short video.
Gary, can't see the video.
Is it not coming through? Okay. If only I could stop it now that it started. Right. I think because it was on YouTube, it's not let me share the video. So let me go back to my slides. Let me go back to. Is the slide deck back on the screen, Dave?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute then.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk about it rather than showing the. I don't think YouTube is compatible with Zoom. Yeah, so as the video does show, if you go on the website, you can access some of these YouTube clips. It gives you a lot of best practice resources, checklists, document templates, access to lots of management theory, management models, but also gives you links to anything that's in publication. So any professional journal, there is a search facility on there because CMI work closely with the British Library. So anything in publication is available through Management Direct. There's a lot of self-assessment tools. So if you want to do a self-assessment on how effective you are at being a leader, or what knowledge and skills gap you've got at the moment, then that is available through Management Direct. I go back to the slide. Let me just minimize that. Also on there, we've got the access to the mentoring platform. And oops, didn't want to do that. There we go. So on the website, we can access CMI mentoring. This is available to you now as a student, as well as to full paid members. Mentoring provides an external person to support you through any management or leadership challenge you've got. If you're setting up in business, you can have a business mentor through this process. You register on there as a mentee. It then gives you the option to connect with one of a small choice of mentors. It allows you to identify what skills and experience you want from your mentor, and you are then matched electronically. There's no person behind this who is matching you with the best mentor. It's done based on profiles. The mentor then contacts you, you have an online meeting, and then start developing the mentoring relationship going forward. There is a student group, finally a project, that is looking at the mentoring offering by CMI at the moment. So there will be some slight changes to this based on student experience. So Dave can share with you who these project groups are. So if you want to know more about the CMI mentoring package, or you've registered as a mentee and you've had some experiences, then talk to that group, because we can make things better for you if you experience any challenges or have any great ideas as to how we can improve the mentoring program. Also, if you've got some skills now, if you've set up your own business as an entrepreneur during uni, or you've got great digital skills, then register as a mentor, because there's lots of people out there who don't have those technical skills, or who might want to set up a small business, who want to learn from student entrepreneurs, something called reverse mentoring. And that's something, again, we're looking at in more detail. So you don't just have to be a mentee. If you've got a skill set, register yourself as a mentor and share that knowledge. Let me go back to my slides. We've also got up there events and webinars. If you go on the CMI website, all the events that have been run digitally during the COVID outbreak have been saved on there and easily accessible. We also have what's called a career development center. If this technology works, it's really good. There we go. The Career Development Centre, again, as a member, this is available to you. You've got career support and careers advisors within the School of Management. The career advisors have been shown, they're also members of CMI, they've been shown how the Career Development Centre operates from CMI. And this is a very comprehensive package that's been put together for the benefit of members. It has details under the latest news section. It's talking about seasonal adjustment disorder today because we haven't had sunshine for quite a while. But it will also bring up any latest graduate opportunities. So this time next year, if you're looking for a job that's specific for a graduate who's got a good degree from Swansea Uni, or any jobs, CMI have engaged with a couple of recruitment organisations, some of the big recruiters, and have that information regularly posted through the Career Development Centre. So it's worth checking in on that on a regular basis. The Career Development Centre actually tracks your progress as you go through these various elements, so you can see what you've been doing. And it covers stuff on leadership, stuff around self-development, mention self-awareness, so we can get this information from here, and it links through to Management Direct. It's got skills, quizzes, assessment tools for working in the workplace. And what might be useful at the moment, as a result of the NUS study that came out yesterday, lockdown has shown that a lot of students have been affected by lockdown. Mental health has been impaired because of lockdown. There is a wellbeing programme available on the Career Development Centre on the CMI website, which goes through some of the self-help tools that are available. There's also links there through to the Samaritans and Mind, the mental health charity. And just to remind you, you're not alone. Reach out to friends, family, or the professionals if you're feeling or you're struggling with what's happening at the moment. Talk to someone. You don't need to suffer in silence. We also, on the Career Development site, have something called CV 360. And this is an online tool that will take, if you upload your CV, will look at your CV and actually tell you what you need to do to improve it. Now, I was a bit dubious about this and thought, how can it read my 2-page CV and tell me what needs to be improved? I don't know the answer to that, but I uploaded my CV and it came up with some really good stuff that I'd not thought of. So it's well worth looking at. Also takes you through those career development aspects of writing your CV, covering letter, and developing essential behaviours, not just for working in the workplace, but also for the behaviours that you need to demonstrate at an interview. Got a whole section on interviewing, and again, the link through to Management Direct and all those lovely resources. Some of you might have to go through psychometric assessments or general assessments for roles. And as a graduate, if you're going into a graduate post, so you're actually going into a management role straight from uni, a lot of employers will use psychometrics. So we've got on there a series of what CMI say are popular employer films. And these actually go through what psychometrics are about, how they're used. I was going to say how you can cheat them. It's not possible to cheat psychometrics. It's about just letting yourself answer the questions, but you can do some of the tests beforehand as well. That's available through Management Direct, and other popular videos can be found up there. Worth looking at the Career Development Centre. There's a lot of material in there. It stores the information, so you can go back to it and keep building it. Job search facility, I mentioned. Those of you who've not got a LinkedIn profile, recruiters do look at LinkedIn, and this was something that shocked a group of final year students when I mentioned it last month. Even if you've gone from school to university and had a part-time job, yes, it's the stuff you'd put on your CV, but putting it on LinkedIn, Dave and I know of at least one, if not two, graduates who left Swansea this year who've been headhunted through LinkedIn. And as a result, I've got some really good business analyst roles. So make sure you use LinkedIn and keep that up to date. We'll go back to the slides. Mention the wellbeing program. CMI does have a Future Leaders program, which as a student on a dual accredited program, you are already part and parcel of that Future Leaders program. And that effectively gives you access to specific development and support through your journey through university. Some graphics there. If you join CMI Future Leaders through the link, that's at the start of there, you get specific targeted emails that will give you a structure to develop ready for starting work, but also beyond that. And also gives you some structure behind the pathway to Chartered Manager. As we said, because you're on dual accredited program, you become a foundation Chartered Manager, because we acknowledge the knowledge and skills you've acquired through your degree program, but you then need to look at the pathway beyond that to get to that Chartered Manager position. So as a future leader, CMI have mapped out a learning journey. So usually beginning of year one and October of last year, somebody from CMI will have done an induction that you'll have been invited to. That would have told you to log on to the CMI website with your student email address to register. It's not too late, you can still do that. We then start talking about, in what they're calling Wave 2, the resources that are available in CDC, the Career Development Centre, which is what we briefly talked about this morning. But there are specific webinars that roll out each year in October, which if you subscribe to the Future Leader part of the CMI website, you'll have access to those student webinars that go into more detail around Management Direct. The student support team the School of Management, the careers counsellors, the advisor team that are home based at the moment, usually in the ground floor of the School of Management, are familiar with Management Direct and the CDC, so they can answer some of your questions as well. And then wave 3, usually around this time, year 2 of your studies, we start talking about mentoring, because it's never too early to start to enter into a mentor relationship. And we also start talking about the CVs. And then wave 4, which is usually pushed out just as you've finished all your exams and you're about to pack up to go home at the end of your studies, we start talking about what's called conversion. So moving beyond student life into working in business, and with your qualification from CMI, looking at becoming a fully fledged member of CMI, and then joining that leadership journey as you go through your career. Part and parcel of all that, and I've touched on this a couple of times this morning, we've got the Foundation Chartered Manager. Chartered Manager is, I'm a Chartered Manager, I've been a Chartered Manager and a Fellow of the Institute of CMI, or the Fellow of CMI, for a number of years now. Chartered Manager enables me to demonstrate that I'm qualified in leadership and management, but also have extensive experience in managing change within an organization, but also leading people, which are the 2 key elements that we look at in professional leaders. The final year project that you'll be taking forward, be it with CMI, if you are one of the lucky ones that draw the straw that has the CMI logo on the end, because it is potluck as to which projects you're allocated. We will look at how you manage change and how you lead people through that change, because the final year project that you embark on, that's the bit that's aligned to the CMI qualification. So you need a good mark on your final project in order to satisfy the criteria to get that level 5 certificate. That also aligns with the criteria for Foundation Chartered Manager, and ultimately, after 3 years of work experience in leadership, you can apply for Chartered Manager. So you start off being a Foundation Chartered Manager. CMI give you 3 months free membership after you've graduated. And there's then a series of pathways to enable you to gain the experience, to develop your skills through to that full chartered status. And that's something that we'll talk about more probably this time next year, because CMI, either myself or one of the other board members from Wales, will be back each year to build up on what we've talked about this morning. That screen summarises what's available to you once you've graduated. There's a LinkedIn badge, there's a pathway to Chartered Manager. You'll have letters after your name, not just BSc, but the Foundation Chartered Manager post-nominals. You'll have access to career development, and as long as you're a member of CMI, that stays with you. Networking and mentoring. The events programme that's run in the region, when it's a physical, non-digital events programme, we build in networking opportunities. And last year we had a number of events at Swansea Uni where students were able to network with business leaders from around Swansea, Swansea Bay and the valleys, Swansea Valleys. And that gives you a great opportunity to actually talk to business leaders to see what the issues are for them. So if there is an opportunity for you to network, and there's the Swansea Bay Business Club that do a lot of their activities through Swansea Uni, that's an ideal opportunity to get involved and start to understand what the key issues are in business. And we've already mentioned the tools, advice and support there. So looking specifically at CMI Cymru Wales, we're a board of currently 10 volunteers. We do it for the love of leadership. We're all on the same mission of raising professional standards across Wales. When I'm not doing this role, I'm actually a leadership coach, a business mentor, and an organisational development consultant within my own business. So I'm working with businesses across Wales to develop their business through developing their people. Likewise, the other board members are either consultants or coaches or work within one of the universities. And as I said, Dave Bolton's vice chair, and he's at Swansea Uni. The main purpose of the CMI Wales board is to engage with members and students across Wales and help them on their journey. Mostly we provide networking opportunities and events, but we also support university students with advice, support, mentoring, as well as those final year projects for you to get involved in. We can be contacted through Twitter at CMI Cymru. There's a LinkedIn group where you need to ask to join, because it's a closed group, because it's a subset of CMI. And also CMI Cymru are on Facebook, and we would welcome you to join the Facebook group. That's currently being run by our Lucy, who used to be a student at Swansea Uni. And it's actually a trial page at the moment to see whether or not we can make better use of Facebook rather than LinkedIn and Twitter to engage with members, and in particular student members. So do get in touch through that. Key message from me around CMI is log on to the CMI website, managers.org.uk. Try to log into your account with your student email address. And if for whatever reason it doesn't let you, go through the links to reactivate your account. But also go to your profile on the website. It allows you to select the region that you're based in. During your studies, select Wales. You will then get regional news from CMI about what events are available and what activities we're doing within Wales. But you can register for more than one region. So if you're based elsewhere in the UK, Scotland, Northern Ireland have their own regional presence. England has 8 other regions. So register for your home region, because once you're at home during COVID or during the holidays, there might be an event or there might be some sort of activity. A local leader giving a keynote speech at an event might be worth just registering to attend that. So keep your options open. That slide shows the partnership approach we have with Swansea Uni, and again, this is similar with other universities across Wales. A key one here is the second point on there. The Swansea Student Union Business Society is working closely with CMI centrally to look at what CMI can do to support the student societies. The business society is running events jointly with CMI, and if you're not part of a member of that business society, then it's worth actually checking out what they're up to and joining that. We also work closely with the Entrepreneurship Society and the Women in Business, the Swansea Women in Business society as well. Last year, we did a couple of events with the Women in Business. So look beyond what the university are pushing out, look at the Students' Union, what the societies are doing as well. So finally, as part of this segment is just a shout out to say, get involved with the community. You've got access to CMI resources to the end of your studies plus 3 months. Become familiar with what is available there, and if you've got any questions around that, then speak to myself or Dave, or post a question on Slido. Based on what we've talked about already this morning, now that you know you're a member of CMI and my whistle stop tour through what is available to you as a student, I'll ask Dave to bring the next Slido poll up. And the question is, will you maintain your membership after you've graduated?
Okay, guys, it's the same code. Well, at least no one's saying no at the moment, Gary.
That's a good sign. How many have we got in the? We've got 9 in the group, haven't we?
That's including us. So there's 7 people on at the moment.
7. Oh no, that means some of them have left. Okay, anybody else want to share their? We'll go with 4. 3 of you have said yes, so that's good to hear. One's not sure, and I totally understand. Now's not the time to decide whether or not you want to stay as a member. You've got that 3 months after your graduation, and I would say there's another 12 months of effectively try before you have to buy. Use the resources, see what is available. Next year is going to be a challenging year. Hopefully we'll come out of the COVID crisis, so we'll have more physical activities. So you can see the worth of the networking. Access some of those digital webinars. Some of the stuff that's been recorded is very good. Check out what is available across the region. Good to see that nobody has said no, Dave. I think that's a positive point.
I think we have got some questions as well, Gary. Do you want to take those now, or
yeah, we'll do them now.
Okay, so let's have a look. Okay.
Are we members of CMI only, or do we have membership in other organisations too? And how can we check? If you're doing the business management dual accredited degree, you'll be members of CMI.
There are no other professional memberships at the moment, although we are looking at, if you're on the HR pathway, then potentially working with CIPD as well. But there's nothing in there at the moment. It's only the CMI that we're dual accredited with. Okay. In terms of how to check it, as Gary's excuse me, as Gary's already said, then you can go down and speak to the student experience team, and they'll be able to help out. Okay, we've got another one there. I've tried to log into the account, but I don't think I have one. You will have one. It's will have been set up on your student email account. If you having an issue logging in, then the best thing to do is to put your student email account into the CMI website, and then say forget password or forgot password, and that will then give you the ability to change your password.
If that doesn't work for any reason, if you email membership, so that's membership@managers.org.uk, the links also should be on the website, but the membership team will be able to unlock your account, which should then force you into changing your password.
I think we've got two things on the chat as well, Gary. Okay, so these have been sent to me privately, so I'm not going to mention who the names are. One person is asking, try to log into my account, but I don't think I have one. So I think that was the same person. We've answered that question. And somebody else has asked, did you say CMI offer apprenticeships after graduation? It's a good question, Gary.
Apprenticeships as in apprenticeship positions? The answer would be I haven't seen any.
No.
But that doesn't mean they haven't got any. I know they have a couple of members of staff who are doing an apprenticeship degree program in England. Apprenticeship vacancies, if CMI themselves had any, they would advertise them on the jobs page on the CMI website. If you're looking for apprenticeships elsewhere, away from CMI, so in a business organisation, then just searching the apprenticeship. There is a Welsh government apprenticeship site where businesses register and the apprenticeships that are available. So I would check that out. There is something similar in England and the other two devolved nations. Any other questions, Dave, that you've got there for me?
No other questions at the moment.
Okay. Can I go back to sharing my screen? So that just leaves me with the hashtag of CMI Future Leaders. That's the first part of this morning's session, which was an introduction to the Chartered Management Institute. I'm going to move on and do a session on leading teams. If you've got any questions around CMI, you can email me or Dave. I'll give you my email address at the end of the second presentation. As Dave said, this webinar will be shared on the Level 5 Hub. So if you ever want to go back to it, you can do, or if you want to tell fellow students who've not turned up this morning or are forgotten to register for this afternoon session, then just let them know that's available. I think, unless there's any more questions, I think we'll move on to the second part. Dave, do you think?
No other questions.
Right, we'll get to the serious stuff now then. So let me bring up the other, let me just close that, make sure I've got the right slideshow on my screen before I connect with you. back to Zoom, talking to myself. Can't do two things at once. Share screen. There we go. So, is that slide on the screen, Dave?
Sorry, was on mute again. Yeah, I can see that.
We'll crack on. The next part of this session is around leading a team. And what I'm going to do is give you some of the leadership models and theories that support leading people, managing change. And if we have time, because I'll leave some time at the end, I'll give you a really useful tool for managing conflict. I just wish the conflict resolution tool that I use, which is quite simple, could be used to break the Brexit deal deadlock, but I don't think it will. Already mentioned the fact that I'm chair of CMI Cymru. This sketch note was done by a graphic facilitator who I work with, who summed up some of the key points that I mentioned at a talk a while ago. I'm of the view that anyone can be a great leader. You just need the knowledge, the skills, and the self-awareness of not just what you do as a leader, but the impact of that behavior on others. It's important that you develop good CPD, so continuous professional development. And one of the things that Dave and I constantly talk about is something called reflective practice. It's important that with any activity you carry out during your studies, but also as a leader, that you do reflect on the decisions you make, on the activities you carry out, to think about what was it I did, what was the impact, what difference did it make, and what happens next. Reflecting on what you've done actually makes you more aware of your actions, and also makes things easier the next time you've got to make a similar decision around a problem. One of my leadership gurus that I follow is Simon Sinek, who's the author of a book called Why, various other books, but it's worth actually having a look at some of the stuff that he puts out on YouTube. He says that leadership is about taking care of those around you. So it goes back again to this emotional intelligence piece, and the importance of leadership being part of you leading a community of people. You're not there for your own self-importance. You're there to get the job done and to lead the team to get that done. It's important for leaders to share their vision with their team, because if the team don't know why they're doing what they're doing, then you will fail. So yeah, as a leader, you might be the visionary, but you need to bring everybody along with you on that journey. And if you just tell people what to do, then that behavior as an ineffective manager is going to mean that you've got an ineffective business, and your team will walk away from it. One of the things that I feel strongly about, and it's something I do on a regular basis, I self-assess. I look at sometimes using the tools on the Management Direct page of CMI, or it could be some of the other thought leaders around the UK and the wider global community. Look at the skills I've got and actually think about how I use them. And quite often go with that gut reaction. If you look at neuroscience, our bodies aren't controlled by our brain, they're controlled by our stomach. Many people think the stomach is the second brain. Personally, I think it's our first brain. And I do manage using that gut feeling. If I think somebody's got a good idea, my brain might say, oh yes, but we need to risk assess this. We need to think, is this the right thing to do? But I've got a gut feeling that this could work, then I'm going to say yes, and then mitigate any risk. Failure is good. Failure is important because we learn from failure. It's also important that as a leader, once you've got your qualification, that you continue to evolve and you have those light bulb moments. Leadership can be a very lonely thing. If you look at your style, if you look at how you manage people, how you lead people, and you constantly look at how you can improve those skills that you've got, then that makes it a less lonely place. And it's important to look at things from different perspectives. Don't have tunnel vision, don't work in a silo, look at everything that is around you when it comes to making decisions. So this session is about looking at the challenges facing leading a team, getting people to do work with you, and hopefully we'll look at managing some conflict. Principal skill in leadership is about leading people, managing people to achieve a desired outcome. So you set your vision, you then need to lead your people to make sure we have that visionary outcome. A lot of the skills through leading teams you will develop through experience. You'll have an opportunity through the final year project to work as a team. So some of these skills or some of these models and some of the stuff that we talk about the rest of this morning, you will find useful when it comes to that final year project. So for this session, we've got some learning outcomes. You'll recognize some key leadership theories, identify different leadership contexts, identify some tools and techniques to effectively lead and manage others. And as I've said, time permitting, you'll be able to demonstrate an understanding of conflict management techniques. I've already touched on final year project. You'll be working as part of a team. You'll be expected as part of your reflective essay that you do at the end to reflect on leadership skills, knowledge, how you've managed as part of a team. But some of you might be going on a placement year next year. So some of the stuff that we talk about this morning will be of use during your placement year. And as I've said, we talk about who is leading the team. We talk about managing change. And that's all going to be covered in this session. So I'm going to ask Dave to put the next Slido up. And what I want you to do is, in a word or a number of words, or more than one word, describe what leadership means for you. So Dave, can I throw that to you?
Give me 2 seconds, Gary.
Yeah, sure. So whilst we're waiting for Dave, think of a word or a series of words that describes what leadership means to you.
Two seconds, I will be there now.
They just love technology.
I'm having fun with it today. Okay, that should be it. There we go.
Yay.
You can answer multiple times on this, and it'll build up a word cloud. There we go. Great.
Dave, just for your reference, slides 15 and 16
Yep.
are the next two polls. So you can have more than one go if you want. Just let your thoughts rip across Slido. So far we've got leadership is to inspire, to lead a group of people, to be a coordinator. To be bold, to have responsibility.
Some really good adjectives coming out there.
Courageous, in charge, empower, be bold, constant learning. Oh, I've got to guess where it is now. The motivator, is that the next one? Give you another minute to add any more words that spring to mind. Good listener. That's a very important one. Okay, we'll bring this poll to a close. So we've got there, good listener. That's one of our key skills. Courageous. Yeah, sometimes we need to have some conviction and be courageous. To inspire, I think that's a really good one. Motivate, yeah. Lead a group of people. Empower. Because if we empower people to make their own decisions, they'll get the job done without you having to be on their backs. Be bold, be in charge, be responsible, constant learning. So it's a good set of adjectives. I use Dave's word. of what leadership means to you at the moment. And I think if we were to do this poll again in 12 months' time, when you've done more work around leadership and management, I think you'll find a lot more words to describe leadership. So can I have the screen back, Dave?
You can, hang on. There we go.
I need to share screen first. Go there. So one of the key things that we talk about when we talk about leadership, and one of the things that we look at within final year projects to get your foundation chartered manager, but also looking at chartered manager, is how leaders manage change. And I think it's important to acknowledge that at this point, and if you Google again, change curve or psychological change curve, you'll come up with images similar to this. And a lot of research has been done by psychologists as to how we as individuals behave towards change and transition. And if we start on the left-hand side of this, you've got life before the changing event. And ideally, what we want to do is to be able to leap from one side of the pit of doom to the other, where you're demonstrating commitment towards the change and transition. So if we fall into the pit of doom, then we will go through a series of stages, psychological stages. And it is possible to go one step forward, two steps back, because you can hit a hurdle as you're going through trying to escape from the pit of doom and go back to the beginning. But initially, when you fall into this, an example of this could be your local coffee shop stops selling your favorite cake or your favorite brand of coffee. And this happened to both Dave and I about 12 months ago, when the tavern across the way from the School of Management changed its coffee from Grumpy Mule, which is blended in South Wales, to a blend that comes across the bridge from Bristol. And Dave and I went into denial. We feared that the English coffee blenders were taking over the coffee market.
I'm still in the depression phase, Gary.
You're still in the depression stage, aren't you, Dave? I get it shipped in now since lockdown. I'm getting Grumpy Mule on a regular basis, so I'm all right. But you will fall into denial. How dare they? How dare they change out my coffee? You then resist and become quite angry, and he did become quite angry. You might threaten to leave the organization or the coffee shop. You can fall into that depression stage. And at any of these points, you've got two choices. You either leave the organization, or in our case, the coffee shop, or you look at ways to deal with that change and move through the transition. And then something happens. There's a transforming idea. And they introduced a little card where every time you went in, you got a little stamp on the card. And that meant free coffee. Now, if you know me or Dave, we are coffee fiends. And the idea of getting a free coffee was a good one. So we then started to explore this. The more coffee we drink, the more free coffees we get. So we then started to realize, actually, this coffee is not too bad. So we accept that they've made a change. The coffee isn't as good as Grumpy Mule, but we'll commit to buying our coffee in the tavern as opposed to Costa or Starbucks in the college or the School of Engineering. But that would apply, this change curve, this transition, and the psychological impact of change can be for absolutely anything. And as a leader, you could change something simple like the pens you get from a local stationer's, or buying cheap paper for the printer is a good example from my own experience, where the cheap paper kept getting jammed, and you get people going through the change curve. And you need to acknowledge that people need to be managed through this process. And one of the key things with change and transition that a leader must do is communicate. Communication is the key to change. If you want to change anything, start talking to your staff, start talking to your team before you even implement any change. The earlier you involve them, the easier change will be, and you'll find people jumping over the pit of doom straight into commitment stage without going through these various elements. If a member of staff has an idea, and that's the basis of your change, then you've more chance of bringing everybody else on that journey with you. We talk about working in teams. Meredith Belbin did research many years ago around team roles. And if you're going to be working in a team in your final year project, or in your gap year, your year in industry, you need to be aware that people have different roles within a team. And most of these roles, we don't actually know what our preference is. I'm not advocating that you go into your gap year into your organization and ask everybody to do a Belbin team role questionnaire, but you should be able to see who team workers are, who the investigators are, who the completer finishers are. If you're not familiar with Belbin and team roles, again, Google, have a look at it. There's online questionnaires, there's resources on the CMI website. But as a leader, you need to have an awareness of the fact that team roles do exist, and that you need a good complement of the 9 elements that we've got on the screen there. We're going to look at what leadership is and what the difference is between leadership and management, and when you should lead and when you should manage. And we'll look at some of the theories behind this. First one, which is quite a useful piece of theory, is John Adair's action-centered leadership. And what he did was look at what we do as leaders and managers, and it's about achieving a task. It's also about developing the individual to make sure they've got the knowledge and skills to be able to do the task. But you might need lots of cogs in the wheel to make the task achievable. So you need to build and maintain the team to carry on achieving the task. If you neglect one or two for the third, then you're not going to achieve the task, and you need to find some synergy between the 3 of those, so that the sweet spot in the middle ensures that you're developing individuals, you're building your team in order to make sure that you achieve the task in hand. It's about finding a balance between the 3 and not neglecting one. Another thing for leaders that is useful, and this is a piece produced by Kenneth Blanchard and Paul Hersey to American management consultants, something around situational leadership. And dependent on the level of support that a team member needs, depends on how you behave towards them and how you need to work with them. Again, this goes back to Adair's piece about managing the team, developing the team, developing the individual to achieve the task. So you might just need to direct the individual. This is what needs to be done. They just get on with it. But they might need some more detailed coaching where they're not as competent to do the job. Or they might just need some support to get the job done. Or if they're highly skilled and highly motivated, it could simply be a case of delegating the task to them. This is what needs doing, find a way of solving it, get it done. So dependent on the level of competence and motivation of the individual, depends on how directive and supportive you as a leader needs. That's a useful theory to explore more of. And I'm not going to go into great detail about these. It's up to you to go away and look at the CMI website or Google it. But this is something you will come across if you haven't already during your study. Tannenbaum and Schmidt's, yes, continuum theory. If we look at leadership styles, again, going from what we've just seen on the previous slide, you've got leaders who are quite direct. They make the decision is made, you get on with it. But you also have managers who allow the team to develop their own ideas, develop the options for dealing with that. So we can map this across a continuum where the manager uses more of their authority or less of it, which allows the team, individuals, to make more decisions because the work's been delegated to them, or they just get on with the job because they've been told to. Now, my preferred learning style is to be somewhere in the final quartile of this continuum, where I'm in overall control of what we do as a business, as an organization, but I empower my staff to use their own ability to get the job done. So somewhere along here, there'll be a nice little sweet spot that allows that nice balance of this is the vision, these are the tasks that we need to carry out. Staff are highly trained, highly motivated, the job gets done. But this continuum helps us answer the question, when do we lead, when do we manage? And I would say, if we're a good leader, we're somewhere up here on the top right-hand side. If we're a poor leader, we're going to be down here because we're controlling and commanding all the time. We're saying this is what needs to happen, this is how you're going to do it. But there are times when you'll need to make those decisions and be quite forceful in how it's done. The office is on fire. Let's set up a work group and do some mind mapping as to how we're going to get out of the building. So that's somewhere up here. What we need to do is manage the situation, get everybody out. So we need to be quite directive and tell people, this is the problem, this is what we're going to do, fire exits over there. That's quite a an unusual example. It's not a very good example, but it gives you an idea of how, as a leader, you can go up and down that continuum dependent on the importance of the message that you want to give. And I have to include the example of there's a fire in the office because Dave's just done his training as a fire warden for the School of Management, and he's got a nice high-vis jacket that he likes to wear. He's probably got it on now. If we could see him.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, wow.
I've got an orange t-shirt on, but it's not a fire warden one.
No, you see, I would have thought you'd have had it on in the background just to celebrate your new role. One of the other things that we look at around leadership is transactional, transformational leadership. And this is something that some of the projects, final year projects, touch on. How can I improve the service that I provide? It could be a firm of accountants that wants to look at doing, taking on more clients. They want to transform their business into something new. It could be somebody who wants to start offering more of a digital service rather than you've got to come to the shop. So one of the things we can look at is what are the transactional aspects of a role, and do we actually need to do those? Do we need to have those certain elements within our role? And what can we do to actually make our role more transformational? One of the things we look at with chartered managers, and I mentioned your final year project because it leads into the foundation chartered manager, we are looking at transforming business, moving it away from that pure transactional element. So what we do with chartered manager assessment, and I'm one of CMI's chartered manager advisors and assessors, we look at transformational leadership. What have you done as a leader to transform your business, to cut out some of the transactional aspects, to improve the business? Again, that's some really good useful resources on transformational leadership on CMI website, as well as good old Google. So that's some of the leadership models and tools that you'll come across if you haven't already. We're going to move on to a quick word cloud generation on Slido, where I want you to think about what kind of a leader do you want to be. So in one word, what kind of leader do you want to be? So I'll throw this back to Dave, Mr. Slido himself.
I'm having good fun here at the moment.
Good.
2 secs.
It's usually me that has the technology problems.
There we go.
So what kind of a leader do you want to be? It's in a word or a series of words.
I love that word.
Which one? Transformer?
Yeah.
Did you have Transformers when you were younger, Dave?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I didn't. We couldn't afford toys in Yorkshire. We just had a bit of coal.
That was a Monty Python sketch.
Yeah, I had a piece of coal that was called Bob. So we've got Wise Transformer. Any other words that would describe what kind of a leader you would want to be? Can have more than one go. Authentic. I like that one. Supportive, that's good. Empowering, mentors. One of the disadvantages of working from home is I can hear the conversation that my wife's having with her work colleague. It's very distracting. So we've got approachable, empowering, transformer, wise, motivational, friendly. I think friendly goes well with authentic. You should be yourself and don't be something you think you should be or something you've been told you should be. Being supportive, mentor. Just give you a moment longer to add any others onto there. Knowledgeable, approachable. I think with knowledgeable, and a lot of graduates find this difficult if you go on a graduate entrant post, is you don't have knowledge of the business that somebody else might have. And the important thing is that you need to know how to get that knowledge. So if you don't know an answer to the question, acknowledge the fact you don't know the answer, but tell the person that you will go and get that answer. And it's about knowing where to find the answer, so where to get that knowledge. I think honesty has been said a couple of times because it's bigger than the rest. I think that is a key skill as a leader, and it's good to see that at least a couple of you see that as being the kind of leader that you want to be. Trusting and trustworthy, yeah, totally agree with that. We need trust, and we need to be trusted. Okay, we'll bring that cloud to an end, Dave, if we can.
Yep, 2 secs. There we go. Do you want the screen back?
Yes, please.
All yours.
I have the power. So we were looking there at what kind of leader you want to be. And I think it's important that you set your stall out from the beginning and actually have a vision as to what difference you want to make as a leader. Just to annoy Dave even more, we have another Slido word cloud. This is the last one, Dave. Honest.
Yeah.
So we've looked at what kind of leader you want to be. I want you to think now about knowledge, skills, and behaviours. And you've touched on some of those during that previous question. But what is the knowledge, the skills, and behaviour you need in your leadership toolkit? The leadership toolkit is something that Dave and I are always talking about. It's that imaginary bag you carry around with you. That's got all these tools in it that you can apply to different situations. You might have something buried at the bottom of that bag that you only pull out every now and again because you're dealing with a particular problem. But think about, you're in a role as a leader. What knowledge do you think you need? What skills do you think you need? And what behavioral competence do you need? And as if by magic, Slido appears. So if you want to just dump your thoughts and ideas on there, we'll give you a few moments to do that. Good communicator, open-minded, confident. So team builder, motivation, confident again, risk management, open-minded, critical thinker, empathetic, business planning. Some good stuff up there. Strategic thinker, task focused. So we've got there everything from the strategy down to the task. Give you a few more moments for your final thoughts. Don't like it when it reorders them, because then I've got to guess where the words come from. I've gone to problem solver. I think that's what just popped up there. Okay, we'll bring this to an end. So we've got quite a good list of knowledge, behaviours and skills. So we've got knowledge around risk management, business planning. I suppose financial planning could come with that. behaviors, so stuff around confidence, empathy, and then the skills, critical thinking, team building, communication, all good stuff there. So thank you for that. And once I get the screen back. Got a list here that includes some of the stuff that we just talked about there. So communication, being proactive, inspiring, motivating, organizing, analytical skills, being confident, that was a big one for you, decision making, conflict resolution, creativity, creative thinking, delegation, honesty, goal setting, and the list goes on. So if you do a self-assessment of your knowledge, skills, behaviors, using the various tools that are available to you, you can identify areas that can be part of your personal development or professional development plan going forward. So this is a good start to start thinking about that. Emotional intelligence, this is one of the things that I talk a lot about. I'm actually doing a research master's at the other university in Swansea around coaching and mentoring. One of the big things for me has been around emotional intelligence, both as a coach and as a mentor, but also developing coachees, mentees in being more aware, being empathetic, getting the message across that you don't need to be a perfectionist, having that balanced approach, being curious, being gracious, and that you're not afraid to change. Change is one of the things that is going to be there all the time. So it's worth looking at emotional intelligence if you haven't already. As I say, be self-aware and self-assess your leadership skills. Got a little bit of time left, so I'm going to move on and just touch on some of the conflict resolution stuff. This is a very simple tool, a bit of theory first, but it's a very simple tool that I've used for many years that I'll introduce to you. Because if you're working in a team with your peers in your final year, then it's something that you might have to deal with. If we look at Patrick Lencioni's research on dysfunctional teams from 2002, and again, this is a useful thing to look up on. And if you're doing a reflection this time next year on your final year project, it might be something you want to touch on, because it's a piece we've had to do with at least one of the groups, project groups so far this year. If you've got a dysfunctional team, you could have absence of trust, fear of conflict, a lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and that inattention to results. And these are elements that Lencioni pulls out in his research. We need to trust, we need to make sure there's no conflict. We all need to be committed to get the job done, to make sure that we accept accountability for what we do and the team does, and make sure that we're all looking towards the same results and don't have hidden agendas and going off on tangents. I like sketch notes and useful summaries like this one, and top left hand corner, Tanmay Vora, who's an Indian guy who puts a lot of these useful summaries on LinkedIn. It's useful to actually follow him, because he will take a piece that's been in Harvard Business Review and summarize it as a sketch note on one side of A4 with all the information you need. And this particular article by Amy Gallo looked at 4 main types of conflicts and how to manage them. So she talks in her piece around relationship conflicts, task conflicts, process conflicts, and status conflicts. And the fact that those are the 4 key areas of conflict that you could have within a project, within the workplace. It's not just about individuals not getting on. It's about perhaps a disagreement over what is the task we're supposed to be doing. Or it could be you're working in a flat organization where you've got nobody in overall control or in charge, like you're finally a project, your peers, you're working together, and you've got somebody who's trying to take over. But it could also be a disagreement around how we're actually going to achieve the task. Your options, you can sit back and do nothing. It's not going to resolve itself. You could be quite directive and try and communicate and get the problem resolved by passive ways or by being quite direct. I'll come back to this in a moment. Or you can just walk out and exit the relationship. So the choice is yours. But it does say here, not all conflicts are bad. It can achieve better outcomes because it's forcing you to look at the diverse opinions of others within the team. It does give you job satisfaction, and it can improve relationships because you get better awareness of how that person who you're in conflict with works. Some of the tips here, establish a shared goal, seek advice if you need to, take a break, put a breathing space in there, and if necessary, go to a moderator or an arbitrator, somebody who both parties trust to resolve the conflict. Now, if you decide you want to have that conversation, there's a very simple tool, behavior effects and future. And this comes from a model that was created some time ago, in the 90s, which is some time ago, around cognitive behavior coaching. It's also linked quite closely to some of the findings around neuro-linguistical programming, NLP. It's important that you focus on the behavior, so the behavior of the person, not the person themselves. How it affects you or the team without being personal, and what you want to see in the future. So I could have some conflict with Dave around the fact that he keeps going out and getting himself a coffee. He's not thinking of the wider team. So Dave, when you go out and get yourself a coffee, it has the effect on me and the rest of the team that you don't want to be part of the team. So in future, could you ask us if we want a coffee? We're not asking you to pay for it.
I was just about to say it depends if you pay it.
No, we might pay, or we'll give you the free coffee vouchers that we've collected. So it's important that you don't focus on the individual. You don't focus on what they've done, what they've said. It's about their behaviour, the effect that behaviour has on a solution. So what do you want them to do in the future? If you stick to that and have that as part and parcel of the way you communicate with people, you can avoid conflict, but you can very quickly resolve a problem. There's less chance of it escalating into a major crisis if you remain calm and focus on those 3 elements. I would suggest you try it. It does work. I've used it as a manager as well as a leader. So that's my whistle stop tour through leading a team. You've got an opportunity on Slido and on chat to raise any questions that come out of that.
I'm just going to share the Slido questions again, Gary.
Okay. I'll just leave the slide up there with my email address. Or you can contact me on Twitter Well, actually, no, LinkedIn is the best place to contact me.
Okay, there is one more question there. I think it has to do with registering. What
Yeah.
do I do if it tells me that it can't match my email to an account? So Gary's already covered that with getting in touch with membership at CMI. I don't think we've got any other questions on chat. Oh, hang on a minute. Yes, there's some.
We have on chat. If I'm really clever, Callum, I'll quickly, if I can. Yeah, if you search for Gary Metcalf on LinkedIn, I should pop up.
Okay. I don't think there are any more questions, Gary. So we've only got about 2 or 3 minutes left. So I'd like to thank you for your time and again, what was a really good presentation. I'm sure everybody has really got a lot from that. Gary's, as I said, has put his or will be putting his details into chat. This will be recorded or has been recorded, as I said, and will be on the Level 5 hub once I've uploaded it. If there are any questions, then email me. If you have any problems, then email me as well. Gary, would you like to make any closing statements?
Just to say thank you for persevering through our technical issues that we had with Slido. It's either Slido or me doing the slides that we have problems with. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for participating in the polls. Stay safe during your journeys back home if you're not already at home. Enjoy Christmas and hopefully see you on campus next year. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.